Hello everyone, welcome back. This edition is where I will teach you how to draw hand-drawn flowers and sentiments to create your own card, which will help you in turn stop buying cards and just create your own. This is a simple tutorial. Step by step, I will take you through the process of how to draw flowers on your cards, colour them in, and to handwrite your sentiment. Looking forward to working with you through this video, and I hope you wait till the end. It's a lengthy one, but we'll craft through together. So these are the items that we'll be using today to create this card. And as in my previous videos, I have shown you that I've just purchased some new Daler Rowney double tip markers, so we'll be using those. I always use the Nuvo glitter drops. In this case, we are going to be using White Blizzard. I'm going to show you some techniques on using the Jelly Roll Bright White pens by Sakura, and also the Sakura Pigma Micron fine liners. We're just going to do some handwriting on our cards. I'm going to use my pencil, the retractable pencil by Papermate, with the eraser attached at the end. We're going to need some glue. My choice is Elmer's glue, and my second choice, or depending on what I'm making, would be Tombow Mono liquid glue, the aqua version. We're not going to be using that one today because we are only sticking the card base with the topper, so Elmer's will be great. Pair of scissors, one of the ready-made 6x6 card bases and envelopes, and the Sizzix cardstock that I always use. We're going to use an A4 sheet, basically. There will be a little bit left over, but it'll be an A4 sheet that we'll be using. And I am going to be using the Tim Holtz tonic guillotine. However, if you don't have one of those, it doesn't matter. You can just use a ruler and some scissors. So that's about it. So basically, if you've got some fine liners, you don't have to have these, but the Jelly Roll bright white pens are great. Some felt tips, some glue, some card. If you haven't got a card base, you can always make your own out of another piece of card, and a little bit of glitter. And these are my choices today. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to cut our card base stock. So this is what we're going to draw our floral design on. And we just need to make the piece of card that's going to have the design, and then also the piece of card for underneath that we're going to colour as a matte and layer. So in order to do that, I'm just going to quickly measure the base card to make sure what size it is, and it is 15 by 15 centimeters. So in that case, we need a 14 by 14 centimeters and a 14.5 by 14.5 centimeter square card. So let's go ahead and do that. It's really easy using this Tim Holtz one because it does mark up in 0.5 centimeters, which is great. So all I'm doing is lining the card edge up to the top, and then lining where it says 14.5 centimeters. Hold the protective strip with your hand, one at the bottom, fingers at the top, thumb at the bottom, and then just bring down the guillotine, and then take your card out, spin it around, line it up to the top first, push it firmly up at the top, and then move it up to the 14.5 centimeter mark and down again. So that is your mat. And then for this piece that's left over, we need this to be 14 centimetres. So we're going to find the 14 centimetres. And in fact, it's got a nice dotted line on the 14 centimetres. So that's nice and easy. Push it up against the ridge at the top. Hold it down firmly. And then turn it around. Back onto the 14. And again. And that's another matten layer. So the principle of this is that you have a 1/2 centimetre gap to actually produce a mat and layer all of the way round. So you will have these two pieces. This smaller one, the 14 centimetre one, will actually hold your design that we're going to draw. And the bottom one, we're actually going to colour the edges so it coordinates with the design that we're going to draw on the front. And then what you'll find is when you've got your card base, you've got another little edge all the way around, so it looks a really nice professional finish. So we're going to start with colouring our 14.5 centimetre piece. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take the Daler-Rowney pens and I'm going to take out the colours that I'm going to use today. So I'm going to use an orange and like a coral pink and a paler pink, and I think I'll use that green. Yeah, and that's that. I might take out that really pale pink as well, just in case. So we're creating this bottom layer. What I want to do is actually create a border around that will coordinate and show underneath the matten layers. So all I'm going to do is take the brush tip end and then lie this flat as I can, and then you just basically colouring up this edge here, and you want to just make sure that there's about 1/2 centimetre covered, and we can check this in a moment if it actually works. Doesn't matter if you just make a bit of a mess, to be honest with you, because it's all going to be covered up. So as long as you've gone right up to the outside edge, it doesn't matter that it's a wavy line on the inside. I mean, if you want it to be perfect, that's up to you, but you know, it doesn't need to be. It's not going to show. Oops. Like I say, doesn't matter that it's going to be wavy. You can be messy and get away with it. So that's that. Then what I want you to do is just actually go along the edges of the card here. And you might not think that it'll matter, but honestly, for some reason, it does throw your eye. And actually, if you colour these edges in here, it really does look like you've got a perfect crisp finish on it. It does make the difference. It's very subtle, but it does. So it's just a little tip for you there. Just always colour the edges of your card. And it only takes you 2 seconds to do each side. There we go. That's something that I've always done when card making, is if I've got a coloured card, just always colour the edges, because it always looks so much more professional on the finished article. So that's the base piece there, and I'll just show you now with the 14 centimetre by 14 centimetre. When we layer that over the top, what you're going to get is that lovely perfect finish. And this colour here we're going to use within the card, so it will actually coordinate in the whole card. So you'll see later, but it'll really make sense afterwards. So I'm going to put this one out of the way. It is because they're water colour pens. They are still a little bit damp, so I'm going to put that on one side to dry off now. And we're going to work on the 14 centimetre by 14 centimetre design. So what I'm going to show you today is how to make a card that you're really happy with and you want to gift to somebody else and make them happy with when you haven't got a lot of kit. So you're just starting out card making, you're just starting to get interested, you're just trying to figure out some ideas, you've got some felt tip pens, you might have a nice pen that you like writing with, you've got a bit of paper and card, you've got a pair of scissors and a pencil and a bit of glue, and actually you can really start from there, and you can make something really effective just with those tools. So first of all, I'm just going to think about the design that I would like to use. And when I'm drawing florals, just one tip as well, I like to use an odd number of florals, just because I think it always looks better on a card when you're designing it. So if you always start with that point, and then I was trying to think about what I wanted it to look like on the page. So I'm going to give you a little shot of one that I practiced with earlier, which is this one here. So I'm going to hold it up so you can see it a bit clearer. So for this one, what I decided was that I wanted to go around a corner edge of the card and have some sort of trailing vines, and just have a bit of fun playing about with the floral designs, not caring really whether they look like flowers particularly, but just having a go and not putting too much pressure on myself. And then leaving a space somewhere for some sort of sentiment. And in this case, I have written the word love, and just doodled it up a little bit with some just little flourishes, hearts and dots. So this is what we're going to do now. And as you can see, we've got 7 flowers. So I've sort of cascaded them round this corner here, and this is what we're going to start doing. And the way that I did it, first of all, was obviously I've got one of these retractable pencils. Any pencil will do, you don't have to have a retractable one. And if we just reasonably copy this one, it doesn't have to be exactly the same, but if we try and reasonably copy it. So what we're going to start off with is the centre of your flower. So I'm just going to draw some little circles where I think the centre of the flowers are going to end up being. So here we are, here's our 7 here. So that's all I want to start off doing. And then what I did, I sort of like thought, how am I going to draw all these petals? And I thought what I'll start doing first of all is I might draw some hearts. So I started off with one and I made a heart. They don't have to be perfect. And then for another, I sort of like decided, well, okay, I'm going to do a different flower. I'm going to do some U's all the way around. Doesn't matter if they're perfect. And I thought, what am I going to do with the outside of the petal? So I just decided to do 3, like an M and an N. And then that one's hidden behind here, this flower. And then on another design, I thought, right, I'm going to try something really abstract here. I'm going to do some U's again, because I thought that was quite a nice, easy one to do. And then I thought I'm going to do some jagged edges. And then on another one, I thought Right, okay, I'm just going to do some teardrop shapes. So from when you start at the bottom, you just come out in a little bit wider and come back again a little bit narrower when you get to the centre of the flower. And again, it don't matter which order you do these in, and it really doesn't matter what shape you put your flowers in. You can do exactly what you want. You can just doodle away to your heart's content. So in this one, I'm just going to do like a daisy sort of pattern, some long, thin petals. And I don't have to exactly replicate what I did last time. I can do whatever I fancy. So on this one, I think I'm going to do the U's or V sort of shape again. And I quite like that design with the jagged edge, but this time I'm going to make it really jagged. And, you know, it's like a bit of a lightning strike there, but, you know, flowers don't have uniform patterns, and nature doesn't either, so you can make these as jagged as you like and get away with it. And then this one, on this occasion, what I might do is I might just make this a little smaller type daisy just here. Okay, so as you can see, that's my layout, and that's a more close-up image of all of the flowers that I've drawn. They don't look great, I'll admit. At first, they really don't look great, and you're going to look at yourself, look at your own and think, oh, this is never going to turn into a card. But I guarantee that it will. Honestly, just trust the process and it really will turn into something lovely. This is how I started with that one, and it's turned out completely different. So the next thing to do now I've got my idea of how I like my design, I'm going to take the eraser, you can any eraser you like, and I'm just going to put it flat against the image and just gently buff away some of that lead pencil, just so I can finally see the outline. And if you're nice and light-handed drawing, then that's great. I'm not. I'm quite heavy-handed, so I do have to rub this away. You may not need to if you've got a nice light pencil and you've not pressed too firmly on the page. But to be honest with you, this one you still can see some of the little lines on, and it makes no difference at all. In fact, I think it adds to the image. So don't worry if you can see some of the pencil coming through when you're actually colouring in your image, because it's still going to look nice. But all I want to do is just rub some of this away, just so I can see the outline, but I don't have to look at the really thick, heavy lines that I've actually drawn on here. But I still get the idea of where I want to colour in and what it's going to look like afterwards. Okay. Right, so what I do now, I decide what colours I'm going to use, and I'm going to follow the colours that I've used in here, which are the two main colours, is this paler pink and a more corally type of pink. It comes out a little bit more red on the page. Anyway, those are the two colours that I'm going to use. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to use the brush tip side, and I'm just going to start colouring in. I'm not going to completely colour everything. It's quite loose colouring. It doesn't matter if it goes off the edge of the lines. It doesn't matter if I don't colour all of the petal in. I'm just going to colour all those shapes that I've put on the page in whichever way that I fancy. Now, you might like to colour in everything perfect, because that might be your style and that might be what you're looking to achieve. I don't worry about that. I'm just thinking I'm going to get some colour on this page in those petals that I've drawn, so I can start, and I'm getting somewhere, and I don't mind that it goes off the edge of the petals, or sometimes misses the edge of the petals, doesn't colour it all in. I'm not bothered. Hope you're not getting bored watching me colouring. But maybe you're colouring along with me. That'd be nice. You'll have to let me know. Why don't you let me know if you've had a go at this and you've been inspired to draw your own? Why don't you let me know about that? Send me a picture. Link it in. Let me see. Right. So this is the stage that we're at now. So as you can see, those flowers are very loosely coloured in. I've missed edges, there's still some pencil marks, I've missed bits in the middle. It doesn't matter, it all adds to the effect of the card because we're looking for a loose finish here, or I am. You might want to colour this more perfectly, and you might have an entirely different style of flower that you're drawing, which means that it might look better if it's coloured in perfectly. But I'm happy with what I've got so far. The next bit is I'm going to use the darker pink colour, and I'm going to switch between the small nib and the brush nib. So the brush nib I'm going to use on all the petals that I actually did that were a little bit bigger, and the small we might have lost sound there, so I've done a little voiceover in between so you can hear what I was saying if you lost sound. And just so you can see, once again, here is the colours that I've added. So the light colour, the dark, and then I've overlaid the light over the dark in the middle so it blends in. So that's the stage we're at now. I did on the other ones, on the other card, just colour in some of the edges with the paler pink, sorry, not this pink, this paler pink. So again, it keeps it nice and loose. It doesn't look like I've made too much effort to make sure I've coloured everything in at the edges. I've kept it nice and loose. It's just a little bit of extra definition on these edges where I felt, oh, I didn't quite extend the first pink colour enough, or I wanted it to look a little bit softer on the edges. So that's all I did with that very pale pink colour. Once this has dried, if you like, you can then go over again all of the pencil marks that are just remaining. You might not want to do this. It actually looks totally fine with the line drawings, and in fact I quite like it. It gives it a bit of character. But if you choose to and you want to just get rid of all those tiny little extra bits of line drawing, you can just give it a little go over. Obviously where you've coloured and onto the flower, it won't actually remove the pencil markings, but it will remove any bits that are just over the where you haven't coloured in, and just tidy it up a little bit. There's just one or two that I sort of like tidied up there. Anyway, that's what we're looking at so far, and I'm going to now look at drawing the trellis that goes around. Okay, so here we are with the design so far, as we've seen. So we've got the flowers, and I'm going to do the centre of the flowers now. So I'm going to do that with the orange and the dark pink. And all I'm going to do is take whichever end I've got the large flexi tip end, the brush tip end, and I'm going to go through the centre of each of the flower just with some dots. Doesn't have to be precise, it can cross over itself. And then I'm going to take the small nib of the dark pink, and I'm just going to go over that same space and just put a few little darker dots in so it looks coordinated. That's what we're looking like so far. So the next step will be to draw out with the pencil the vines, the leaves that I'm going to draw in. So in order to do this, what I like to do, I'm going to get that one so I can copy it. I'm going to turn it around, and I like to just make little connections as if it's flowing through the flowers, and then I turn it around so when my natural curve follows a natural sort of shape like that. Maybe doesn't have to be perfect. And then this one is flowing round this way, So then what I will try and do is connect that as if it's coming round here and through, turn it around so I can go back around that way. It just feels more natural following that sort of shape. Then what I've got, when I've got the first one done, what I like to do is try and work in a slightly different spot. So I'll start here. And we're just going to touch to this point here. So I'm just going to bring it round so it crosses over with the other one. And I'm going to turn it around and just follow what may be the natural curve of this vine might be, or what I think it could be. And then I'm just going to maybe bring that around there. And then if you're not happy with any of the lines, just rub them out. Yeah, I think I'm reasonably happy with that. It's never going to be perfect, and to be honest with you, it doesn't need to be. As long as it makes you happy. So that's what we've got. And as you can see, it is quite different than the first one, but I'm not bothered. I'm quite happy about that because we can change the positioning of the card whichever way that we want. I still might stick with it being that way, but we'll see at the end when I've finished what I think and what I feel. So what I'm going to do, same as last time, I am going to just slightly rub out all of the markings just so they're a little bit fainter before I go over them in green. You can leave the lines in if you like, if you're happy with that. I just like it being a little bit fainter. I don't mind the lines showing, but I just like it being a little bit fainter because I'm a little bit heavy-handed when I draw. You might be nice and have a nice light touch, but yeah, I'm quite heavy-handed for some reason. I can never quite manage it just being a nice light touch and it getting the right shape that I want. So anyway, that's what we look like now. And I'm going to go ahead and use the small nib of the green pen, and I'm going to go ahead and colour in these vines. And as I've got the lines already, I probably will not need to turn this around, but I can do slightly, but not as much as I did before. And I can add extra little flourishes in as I go. That's that. Actually, I might switch to the thick one. Yeah, I'm going to switch to the thick one and be brave. Let's go over again. Yeah, that's better. Oh, yes. I like that a lot more. There we go. That's good. So then with the little leaves, all I do is I just do a little teardrop shape. That's all. And then those just link in back in with the vines. And wherever I feel I just need a little bit of a flourish, I put one in. And that's probably about it. I'm happy with that. Last thing I'm going to do is just where I've missed the lines, I'm just going to rub those out. Just a couple where I've just changed the angle slightly. Yep, that's it. Ooh, I don't know which way to have this now. That's quite a nice one just there. But can you see? That's what we're looking like now. So whichever angle you have that, this actually could be positioned on your actual card, whichever way that you want. I love it. Really like it. I might even have it like that. That's really nice. Okay, just a couple more things that I wanted to show you. So I wanted to show you the Sakura Jelly Roll pens. So these are a bright white pen, and what they're used for is to add highlights onto darker colours. So on this card, what you might be able to see is that I have used it to outline some of the petals, to draw lines on the petals themselves. So yeah, so I'm going to show you that now because it just adds a little bit of extra highlight to the petals that I think is really interesting. So you can do this whichever way you want. So I'm going to start just drawing in some little bits of lines in the middle here, and then it adds a bit of interest. And it just makes it not be such a block of colour, and it's so quick as well. It makes such a difference. And it gives dimension to your artwork. And although this is going on white and it doesn't look that bright, once it's actually dried, it actually dries a lot brighter. So it's a really nice thing to do, just to add those highlights in. That would be really difficult if you were colouring it and trying to leave those white gaps. You just wouldn't be able to do it. And then again on the leaves, all I've done is just put like a line down the centre of the leaf, so that gives that dimension as well. So they don't just look flat. And I really like that. So yeah, so those are your Sakura Jelly Roll Bright White pens, which are brilliant. I love these. I've used them for years and years. They're great. And the pens that I used were the De La Rowney double tip marker. So they've got a brush tip on one end, and they've got a smaller tip on the other. And this pack of 24 has some beautiful colours in. Great for all your florals, because I'll just open up the pack so you can see. The colours are not too dark. There's a lot of really pastel-y colours there. So for doing florals, this is absolutely an ideal pack to have in your kit. And they're very reasonably priced as well. I mean, I got these from TK Maxx and they were $7.99. So for a set of 24, I think it's absolutely ideal. So we're now at the stage where we're going to write our sentiment, and I suppose got to decide what sort of sentiment that I want this time. I've written love on this one, so I need to maybe have a little think about what it is that I want to say on this one, and maybe I might write thank you. And in order to do that, I am going to just put a couple of pencil lines in. So I don't try and do it very fine. So I don't actually go off at an angle and then my writing's lopsided. What I'm also going to do, I think, is try and marry up the middle of the card. So I've got a line down the middle, just so I know where to centre. There we go. That's it. So I've put my little markings in there. Put my ruler away. And again, I'm just going to use my pencil to mark out the sentiment. So this is going to be my middle point, the A. So I'm going to write that first. And then see if I can manage to and then a T. I will do thank you. We'll do the O. Oh, I don't like that O. I'm going to try that one again. Sometimes your hand just doesn't flow as easy. So just rub it out and start again. I'm gonna I don't like that end bit either, so I'm gonna rub that out. No, just keep it a little. And this is the thing, when you're just trying to learn how to do your handwriting, how in your style, how you like it, you make mistakes. You do things that you really like and you do things that you really don't. So as long as you're just using a pencil then that's the best way, because you can get rid of it if you don't like it and you can start again. And with handwriting, you know, it's very personal, and I always think that people can tell that you've spent a lot of time and thought when you're handwriting on a card as well. So it has that extra special meaning, I feel. So anyway, so I have got Pigma Micron 01. That might be a little bit fine. I might change that one. And I'll change it to a 3. Let's see if I can find the 3. Yeah, 103. And I'm just going to go straight over, so don't need to rub the pencil lines out, because in a moment when it's all dry we can rub them out afterwards. There we go. That says thank you. And with the little flourishes, you'll find your own little thing, but what I like to do is I like 3 little dots on my upward strokes, and I won't add them to everything, but I'll just maybe add 2 to the top one, 1 to the bottom, and then you could add an extra flourish like the little hearts on the love, or a little flower, whatever you think is appropriate. So here I'm actually going to just do a little flower just there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stick this to the base, the matte and layer, so matte and layering. So as you can see, it's really making the whole thing pop. Now, and all I'm going to do is turn it over, use the Elmer's glue all the way around the edges, a little bit in the middle. Then I'm going to position this so it's equal all the way round. Yep, and then give it a really nice firm press. Okay, and then I'm going to get my card base. Again, you can have your card facing this way or this way, whichever one you want. And I'm going to have it facing, I like them when they're like an apex fold like that, like a tent fold. And again, all I'm going to do is use the glue, make sure I go around all my edges. Doesn't have to be right up to the end, the edge of the page, and just, I don't know if you can see how much glue I've got on. It isn't an awful lot, but it does stick really well once it's on. So I'm going to, again, just centre this so there's equal distance around all of the edges. And now we've got that in position, I'm just going to use the eraser again and get rid of those pencil marks that I made to make sure everything was lined up nicely. So those are all gone. And then I'm just going to go and remove the pencil marks that I made as my guide for my handwriting. There you go. Beautiful. I think that looks really, really pretty, and I'm really pleased with it. I think the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some of the Nouveau glitter on. Now, you don't have to do this, but this one is Nouveau glitter drops, and it's a really beautiful dimensional iridescent clear, almost clear, and it is a whitish clear, and it's called I think it says Snow Blizzard or something like that. I can't read so well, but because I haven't got my glasses on. But yeah, it's got a really nice iridescent sparkle in it, and all I do with this is give it a little squeeze till there's a little bit coming out, and either you can put some beads on or you can just dot it all over that section of the flower, and I think that's quite a pretty finish, just to give a little bit of detail. I'll show you up close in a moment. Here you go. That's the finished article. And as you can see, lots of sparkle on that card, just in the centre of those flowers. Really, really pretty. So you've got your hand drawn and hand coloured design. You've got your handwriting on that card. You've coloured with your pens the outside matten layer, so it actually coordinates with your card, but also gives the card a little bit of framing and dimension. And this card is just truly your own. You've made it, and there's nothing else like it. There isn't another one, and there won't be another one, because you can try and replicate it, but it'll never be the same. As you can see here, you know, the flowers will always be different, the colouring will always be different, the wording will always be different, the positioning can always be different. And you know, this is the uniqueness and the beauty of you making cards. And this has cost very little money, you know, when you consider that it's just a few pieces of card. It's a bit of time and effort and concentration and care that you've taken to handcraft this card from scratch. And I'm sure that your friends and family, whoever's going to receive this card, would be absolutely thrilled to bits. I hope you found this interesting, and I hope I've explained everything properly, and I hope that you will give it a go, and just be confident in yourself. And you know, even the first couple of times, if you don't like what you've done, it doesn't matter, because every time that you practice, you will get better and better and better. And you will feel that sense of achievement when you finish, because you'll end up with something that is really, really beautiful, and you've just done it all by yourself. You've not had to buy anything. You've not had to have something shipped in from China that everybody else has got. You've made this yourself. And it's a worthwhile thing to do. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed it, and if you stay till the end, thank you very much for staying with me. I appreciate it, and I will try and bring you more videos like this, just to get you going with your crafting. And eventually, as the weeks and months go on, maybe we'll try something different and move on and learn some different crafts, and you can come along the journey with me. Like I say, I've been doing this for well over 12 years now, so I've got a lot of experience under my belt. but I understand what it's like to start new, and not knowing what to look for and what to buy and how to start, you know, and conscious of how much that I was spending as well at the beginning, because you don't know what you're buying and whether you're going to like it. And I wanted to have good results straight away from when I started. I didn't want it to be, you know, I want it to be good enough to give people and feel happy with that. So I hope I've given you some inspiration, and that I hope you really will have a go, and get started on your crafting journey, because it's really worthwhile. And I look forward to seeing you soon. I do have some other videos of other cards, and I've got a longer video that gives you top 10 tips of how to get started, what sort of things to buy, what sort of things to look for, tricks, tips, techniques, of how to very first start in the beginning with your card crafting experience and adventures. So anyway, right, that's it, folks. Hope to see you again soon, and thanks for joining. Bye bye.